So I'm really excited to have Michael on. Michael, why don't you kind of introduce yourself and tell people how you spend your time in Encinitas?
Encinitas.
Encinitas. I'm gonna get it
I knew
right.
you were gonna do that. Um, hey, listeners, what's happening? My name is Michael Schmitt. I grew up on Long Island, New York, and after college, I ended up moving out to California. So I've been living out there in San Diego for like 20 years or so now, and I live in the wonderful and beautiful surfing and beach community of Encinitas, California. And I'm an art teacher by day. I moonlight as a lifeguard, although there's definitely been times before I got into teaching when that was kind of my main gig, ocean lifeguarding. And let's see what else. I also like to DJ, and yeah, I surf quite a bit in my free time.
That's a lot of stuff. So I want to kind of break it down and talk a little bit about it. So you're a teacher, which I personally think is one of the most important jobs. And you teach at the elementary school level. Is that right?
That's right. I teach first through fifth.
That's awesome. I think that's really important because I've had kiddos go through elementary school and there aren't as many male teachers. And so it's pretty rad that you can be like a role model for them and bring that masculine energy to the classroom, mix it up.
Yeah. Um, I'm at a fairly large elementary school. There's like almost 800 kids, and there's only one other male teacher. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely like happy to fill that role, but I definitely wish the chit chat, in like the faculty room was maybe a little bit more male oriented
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, you're like a minority in that community. And I think for my sons, I've had two sons in elementary school. They both kind of felt like girls are better at hiding when they're being bad in the classroom. And the ways that boys act up are more obvious, like throwing a ball against the wall or something.
Oh,
And so
100%.
they had like a male teacher because they wiggle a little bit more on average, I think, than the girls. So they liked that those guys would maybe give them a little bit of grace if they were shaking their knee or whatever weird little
Hmm.
wiggles that kids have.
Yeah, I'm actually terrible at assessing when a female student is being mischievous and trying to hide it. So
Yeah, exactly.
always around
We're
me.
pretty good at keeping it. We're pretty good at hiding it. So teaching is really important to you. Teach in the arts,
Mhm.
programming, DJing, which is awesome. I don't know if you just saw they had a rave at the Vatican.
What?
Yeah.
No.
I was like, "What?" I was just scrolling and I saw this rave and I was like, "You never say never." I guess the Europeans are just cooler than the Americans because it was like full on techno.
I mean, it's kind of the perfect space for it, that huge open courtyard.
Yeah. Everybody's just like losing their minds. And the beat dropped on the amen and I just like burst out laughing. But I was also like, good for you, because it's this rave priest out of Brazil and he loves techno. So he did his thing and I thought that was cool.
I gotta look
And
that
then
up.
ocean lifeguarding. What's that like?
Oh man, ocean lifeguarding is one of my favorite things to do. Um, I love it so much that I decided to not make it my real career, because when you go up in the ranks, you don't actually get to lifeguard anymore. Okay, so when you become like a senior guard and sergeant and all that, they end up in the office a little bit more. I mean, they still do lifeguarding things, but they do more paper pushing. But nothing to me is better than just having 8 hours where I'm just looking out at the ocean and just loving life, basically. I mean, yes, things can and do go wrong, and you have to stay on high alert, and basically your head's on a swivel all day. You're just going back and forth, back and forth. But you're in nature. You're out there in the community. You can be as gregarious and welcoming to people as they come down the stairs as you want, and like interact if you want to. You can kind of just like roll the window screen up and just look at the ocean. And people are always very grateful when they're really in trouble and you're out there. So I love it. It's just one of the most fun jobs ever. Oh, and I should mention, of course, you get 1 hour of paid PT a day. It's pretty typical for California lifeguarding agencies. And so you can fill that time surfing that 1 hour for your workout.
That's so rad. That's amazing. I mean, there's two things you're saying there. Like one, you and I both read Moby Dick, and Ishmael says in that book that that meditation and water are wedded forever. So you're talking about like the
Ooh,
joy of just kind of looking at the ocean for 8 hours, which I think
yeah,
is really interesting because I think a lot of people have that relationship to water, even if they're not amazing swimmers and surfers like you. It's fun to look at it. It draws your eye. But then the second thing you're talking about is the more spicy part, which is I want to know this, like, how do you know? Because the line between like swimming and drowning is kind of porous, like how can you tell as a lifeguard when somebody's in
great
trouble?
question. There are like actual tells. So most people who are in trouble in the ocean, as opposed to in a pool, they're going to be facing in. So if they're facing out, looking at waves coming, they're probably not in trouble yet. They might be in trouble soon, but they're going to want to come in if they're in trouble in the ocean. So they'll be facing in. They might have hair in their face. They might be waving, which would be a really obvious one, but usually they're going to be too busy trying to stay afloat or whatever. Um, but yeah, their head might be low. But this is an interesting tip. If you're ever like, worried about watching your kids in the water or something, it can be more about watching what the water is doing to see early. Because as an ocean lifeguard, you don't want somebody to be in really bad trouble before you get to them. That's when it can get gnarly. That's when somebody can, you know, grab you as you're trying to rescue them. So you want to read the room as much as possible, see who's going out, who looks like they're competent, who doesn't, and keep your eye on those people. And they look like they're not competent. And then when you see rip currents, that's the main thing that people get caught in. Like if someone is anywhere near that and they don't seem like they'd be able to get out of it, you're going to want to be preventative, get out there, make contact with the person, whether you bring them in or not on your buoy is like a whole other story, but you want to be preventative and then people don't get in trouble.
Hero stuff, dude. You've
Yeah.
saved people before?
Oh yeah. Tons of rescues every summer. Back when I was a rookie, I worked more at kind of like the main beach, that has a little bit more of a population from all over the county. So you get a lot more inexperienced swimmers and a lot more water contacts and rescues. Then, kind of as you get better as a lifeguard, you get offered more outer beaches that are a little bit more like the local community comes there to surf and recreate. So, yeah, it's so fun, and I can't recommend it enough as like if you're even like remotely into swimming, because I'm not a really really fast swimmer, but I do love to swim. I love being in the water. Like you don't have to be like the most top athlete to do this. You do have to be, you do have to stay in shape, and you have to
Mhm.
learn and really be on top of your game as far as like spotting this stuff. Like it's for your eye and your ability to read what's going on out in the ocean is far more important than how fast you can swim. I've found in my career anyway.
I mean, it's got to feel like really amazing to save somebody from drowning, though.
It does, definitely. I mean, I definitely remember specific ones where I was reading the room, like just like they taught me, like early as a fresh first year lifeguard, and saw this guy who just didn't seem like he knew what he was doing, and saw the water start to rip, and I kind of just saw him start to flail a little bit, and I was like out there in a flash, and he was pretty far away, and he was just like so grateful. Like a lot of
That's
times
good.
when you go check on people, they're not grateful because they think they're fine, and like you're pushed to be very preventative. So oftentimes you go out early on somebody who might be near a rip current and they're fine, and they're like, "Yeah, what are you doing out here? I'm fine."
Yeah, that's so annoying. One time, this is just random memory that reminded me of is I was standing in front of like a fireplace and I was talking with my hands as I'm wont to do. And my husband just tackled me and started like spanking me really hard. And I was so mad at him, like, what are you doing? And he was like, your leg was on fire.
Wow.
And instead of being like thankful that he had saved my life, I was like, dude, you're an animal. Get off me. And then
Yeah.
actually I switched to thankful. So sometimes people don't know when they're in trouble and then you can help them. But other times they know they're in trouble and they're super glad that you rolled up.
Yeah, that's a pretty good analogy right there. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm fine. He's like, your leg is okay. So what drew you out to Encinitas? How did you get into surfing? Because my memory of meeting you was in college. I would go hang out with you sometimes in your dorm room. A lot of times you'd be watching surf videos. And so I was
Yeah.
wondering what drew you to the sport and how you got out there.
Oh, well, so I did like grow up boogie boarding on Long Island from a pretty early age. My dad always took us to the beach, me and my brother and sister, and we would spend a lot of time out east on the East End, out in Montauk, which is also a great Long Island surfing community, surfing and fishing village. And let's see, I think just as I got older, I just saw other people surfing at the beach and was like, I want to do that. And like, I just kept standing up on my boogie board until I was like super competent at I could catch any wave on my boogie board and be standing up on this very tiny thing that you're not really supposed to stand up on. So at that point, my dad was like, all right, I guess I got to get you a surfboard now. And yeah, I had a lot of really great mentors out on Long Island. One of my neighbors, Tom Donovan, is a retired Jones Beach lifeguard, and he would take me out a bunch. He was a neighbor, and grew up friends with his daughter Courtney, and then also another close family friend, Tom Keegan, who surfed for forever. And they would just take me out. And I'd go with them any chance I got, and they kind of just showed me the ropes. It was a really good, like, organic way to learn because not everybody has that, and a lot of people have to take surf lessons, which I've actually taught surf lessons for a little bit when I first moved to San Diego. But how I got to San Diego was funny enough. In college, so we both went to Notre Dame, right? And I met a friend who was from Orange County and visited him on a spring break and just loved it. So then I was like, I got to get back out to Cali, and eventually did a summer service project at the San Diego Food Bank.
Okay.
And that was my first introduction to San Diego. And doing that summer service project, I really fell in love with San Diego as a city. Um,
Mm.
it's America's finest city. And, we got sunshine so many days of the year. And it's a different accessibility to the beach. Back in Long Island, you have to drive to the beach because it's barrier beaches. Here, people live right by the beach. They walk to the beach, and that's kind of just what I've done since I've moved out here after college. It was totally drawn by the beach life and culture, and just wanting to be able to surf anytime. Anytime I want to surf, I can surf. That's the great part about California. It's much more consistent swell happening than the East
That's
Coast.
That's awesome. And there's so much research about like if you bike or walk, like how much better that is for you in terms of like unwinding and your brain and all that stuff. I want to go really deep into like what you love about surfing because I've never done it. I'm totally landlocked. I'm in Colorado and I don't even think my mom or grandma could even swim because like it's just not part of our culture really. But I can swim. But I want to know what you love about surfing. Do you consider it like are you an adrenaline junkie? Do you consider it more meditative? Because I think it's kind of similar to climbing in the sense of like you could fall at any moment. There's going to be a lot of wipeouts. So what is it
Yeah,
that you love about it? Like why would someone love surfing? Kind of explain it to somebody who's maybe never done it.
sure. I really love every aspect of it, and you know, there's I definitely I have the adrenaline junkie streak in me. I do like big wave surfing. Anytime there's big swells in California, I'm on it. Like when me and my wife did a short vacation in Hawaii, I paddled out at Sunset Beach. Um, and like I love big waves, and that can get hairy and scary. And we could talk a little bit more about that later. But that's not going to be most people's entry point. And when people start out, they might have a reasonable fear of 2 to 3 foot waves, and
Yeah.
you know small wipeouts, landing on your board. But for me, it's there's a whole ritual to surfing. To be you're kind of like a part-time meteorologist when you're a surfer, because you're looking up weather patterns, you're paying attention to what the tides are doing. Um, you might, when you get really into it, you might be looking at the geographical landscape of where you live to determine what swells are going to hit best where and with what wind. Um, and then you're also in the morning or in the late evening checking the surf to see how it is, assess it, figure out which board you want. So there's all these other parts of the ritual that happen before you even get in the water, right? And then you might need to suit up, wear a wetsuit. But then once you're out there, you are literally in nature. There's nothing that can protect you from a shark if it would come at you, or a dolphin, right? You brought up Moby Dick before, right? Like there's that part where he's kind of talking about the first time being so far from shore that you can't see land. Um, you never really paddle out that far in surfing, but there is kind of that part of you that you're kind of like you've released yourself from society. You can see it there on the land, but you're out there. You're in the surfer society now, and there's a whole pecking order and social hierarchy to the lineup itself, right? Especially in California, it's very hard to find waves to yourself. So you go out there and you got to see who's the top dog, and you're not going to want to be like paddling after his waves, necessarily. You got to watch out for the beginners. But then once you've actually learned to catch waves and you get good at it, nothing beats that rush. Nothing even beats like the first time you drop down the face on a boogie board. I have a friend JP who's like he's a surf he's a surf shop owner. He has a really beautiful way of breaking it down. I think he says something like uh forward motion plus stoke and trim equals pure stoke. I'm totally butchering what he says, but like it all goes back to that feeling of just release. You're gliding down the face of the wave. There's really nothing else like it. Like nothing. There's nothing else where you're riding nature. Nature, the energy that's coming from thousands and thousands of miles away, and you learn to have that control over your board to do what you want on the face of the wave. There's a
Yeah.
very unique freedom to it.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I feel like I resonate so much with so much that you said because I wrote a memoir about learning to climb at 36, and I had never really
Mm.
spent that much time outside and the nature part of like reading the weather, reading the rock,
Uh,
looking at the conditions. Like you're getting like into it at this granular level, and you're starting to really care about the place where you live in this different kind of way, because you want to climb these rocks. And so you're just kind of in it. You're caring about the weather, you're caring about everything that's going on, and also the ritual piece that you talked about where like you have this like setup like this routine that you do. Like when I would be putting on my harness, I would start to already like feel happy, like the mouse that's about to get the cheese. Like I was like, something interesting is about to happen, and your body kind of gets in this kind of like psyched up feeling of
mhm.
anticipatory feeling of like getting ready and then going for it. And then when you clip the chains, it's just such an incredible feeling of accomplishment because what you did was really hard, trying to hold on to little tiny things in my case, or in your case, trying to stay on your board. But I do want to talk about kind of the danger piece as well, because you mentioned like sharks or dolphins. Like, have you had any close calls? Have there ever been times where you thought like, man, that was really not great out there? I almost, died or felt out of control.
Yeah, sure. I think probably my first like really scary wipeout was probably out in Montauk when I was maybe like still in high school, surfing during like a hurricane swell, just getting a really bad hold down. So you basically wipe out, and the wave kind of sucks you down, and you're kind of looking for which way's up, and you're a little deeper than you normally would be, and that can be pretty scary. There's really no way of telling like how long I was under, but definitely panicked a little bit, and panicking does not help. But eventually I got up, found air, and was like, oh man, maybe I should go in, and decided not to. And yeah,
That's crazy, dude. Are you supposed to surf during a hurricane as well?
Yeah, no, that's the best waves.
You're like, "Yes,
That
of course you are, Anna."
yes, of
This
course.
yeah, this is like rock
Another
climbers. They're always like, "Let's just do it. Let's just figure it out." You're like, "There's lightning."
Yeah, no, that's very dangerous stuff too. Let's see. I've torn up my foot on two separate occasions. One on like the bottom of the fin, one on like the a sharp point on the back of the tail, where I needed stitches and some just
Ooh.
kind of freak wipeouts. So the board itself is usually the more dangerous part in a wipeout. So if you go under, you kind of want to like cover your head as you come up in case the board's up there. And then I had one kind of scary one at Sunset Beach. But you know, I've been a lifeguard for so many years now and everything. I knew to stay calm, but I kind of got the currents are very different in Hawaii. It's a whole nother beast. It's like a million times more dangerous out there in every regard, whether it's, you know, medium or big. And, I tried to get all the info from the lifeguard. He wasn't really having it. Like he can really have a chip on their shoulder. They had to walk like another mile to the next to actually to pipeline to talk to a lifeguard who was a little friendlier and wanted to like actually tell me about the currents. And then I came back and yeah, and I paddled out. I caught maybe like one wave, and then I kind of got sucked across this channel that you don't want to get sucked across because then you have to fight the current to get back, and you're fighting the current right in the impact zone where all the biggest waves are coming. And it happened, and kind of just got I was trying to get through the wave. I just barely was getting through, thought I got through, and it just started sucking me backwards. That's called going over the falls, which is one of the worst things to do in surfing. And I kind of just felt the leash wrap around me. And I'm on this giant board I've never ridden before, and it like sucked me way down. But I stayed calm. Like I knew it was going to be a long hold down, and it was. And eventually got up, got my air, more waves coming, had to duck again and everything. But got back on the board and paddled in. So, it was probably like my two most scary wipeouts of all time.
Did you ever think about quitting surfing after that?
No, definitely not.
Like, I
Yeah,
gotta
but
keep
fun. Like it's yeah, like the adrenaline. I don't know. Just the first one was really scary, and like the Sunset Beach one was scary too in the moment. But I don't know. It's always kind of have faith that I'm gonna see it to the other side, and I try not to put myself into too many of those situations. I try to surf with other people as often as I can, and you know,
Yeah,
just
same,
not
same.
be you can't be too timid in big wave surfing because you can get yourself in trouble. You really have to commit to the wave to make it. But there's a certain amount of patience that will keep you safe out there. You're not just going to go for anything. You got to wait for the right one, and when you see it, you know it, and you have to commit.
Yeah.
That kind of keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah, I think I really love that total commitment because I'm such an overthinker and I'm a worrier, and in order to, like, make a move that's hard, you have to be fully in the present moment and just I'll even, like, yell. I'll go like, "Ah!" And then I'll go 'cause it kinda shuts off, like, my thinking brain, and I can just go into my doing brain because if I sit there and think about it, I'm not gonna do it, and you gotta, like, move at the right time with the right amount of momentum. And then the memories that you make in those intense situations, I think neuropsychologists have even proven that those kind of memories, you remember them more. And so when you have all that high stress or adrenaline in your body, like it just becomes this like, I don't know, like you're super in the present moment and it just really imprints on your brain. And that's kind of cool because a lot of times during the day I'm doing things and I'm not really present and I don't even really remember like what happened. But you're gonna remember those experiences probably when you're an old man.
Yeah, you're you're at a level of pure instinct a lot of times in those
Yeah.
situations. And even
Yeah.
even just doing the activity normally with no danger, that's what I love about surfing. You can get in that flow state where you are at a level of pure instinct with what you're doing, and there's a lot of work that's involved in getting to that level, I feel like too. Um,
Like, what do you mean? Like breath work or just kind of practice getting the reps in
Practice,
or
yeah, like the movements have to become second nature to you to achieve that, I feel like. Like you can
Mhm.
as a beginner, you can hit, like, your own sort of flow state where you're experiencing riding a wave or whatever it is, riding a bike even, right? For the first time, you feel free, and you might hit, like, that flow state. Um, but I think, as you advance in any kind of, like, a real physical, practice, like rock climbing, surfing, other sports, yeah, you have to practice so much that you're not thinking about it any longer.
Yeah.
And surfing takes a lot of patience to
Becomes automatic.
learn. Yeah, it takes a lot of patience to learn, a lot of wipeouts, a lot of just paddling out, and when you think about it, like, the ride is the ultimate stoke, right, that you're looking for, and that lasts maybe 12 seconds, but the whole ritual beforehand, the paddle out, waiting for the waves, waiting for more waves, and then finally you get that. It lasts a couple seconds. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, and it can feel like, you're out of time 'cause maybe I'm on the wall for, like, 15 minutes, but you don't really have a sense of time because you're so in the present moment just getting sensory input from the next move, and so it's
Mhm.
kinda hard to tell how long you were on that board because it's in one sense, it's really short, on another sense, it's like infinity, right? You know, like, you lose time
Yeah.
because you're just so in this kind of eternal now of the next movement with your foot or your body. I just can't imagine, I haven't done it, but just imagining it with something kind of similar. I also wonder about the community aspect. You talked about how you surf with, like, other
Yeah.
people. How does that kind of, change your experience of the sport? Like, what kind of people do you surf with? How are those relationships part of the ritual that you talk about?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who surf, fortunately now. I didn't have as many growing up on Long Island. Surfing wasn't super popular, I guess, when I was growing up. It is a lot more so there now, but, um, I found great community with, other lifeguards. That's always fun getting to surf at work, and, like, if you get a good one, everybody in the main tower sees it, and they're stoked for
Yeah.
you when you get back, and they're like, "Oh, we saw that. You got so barreled," whatever, you know? Um, but, I definitely I've friends that I've met through the years, who, like, surfing is one of the most primary, parts, points to our friendship, and, like, we've traveled to different parts of the world primarily just to seek out good surf. Like, I have a good friend, Rich, who I met, in a nurse staffing job of all places, and we just bonded immediately over he was a surfer. And we had another friend who was from Iowa, named Kip, and he was becoming a surfer. He just moved out to San Diego, and he was so, like, stoked on just, like, learning everything about surf culture. So, he'd tag along with us, and we'd show him the ropes a little bit. And they're both friendships I've maintained through the years. And I love getting to go out with a friend, and, like, you hoot and holler for each other when you're getting a good wave, and you kind of egg each other on. Like, my friend Rich is a really, really, really badass shredder, and so he always gives me tips on how I can improve my surfing. And when we've traveled to, like, Oaxaca, to different spots, kind of just how to read those spots differently than the spots that I'm used to surfing in California. Um, and it's good to have friends with similar interests, because who else is going to want to go? You're in Colorado, and I don't have anyone else to go see a surf movie with, so I got to hit up my surfer friends.
Yeah, so I wanna come over and watch videos with you, and I would just watch them in college and you're like, "That's cool. I have no idea what's happening, but that's cool." But it's fun to have people you can go deep with. I think something you said really touched me because, I feel like a lot of time friendship as an adult is hard. We're like
Yeah,
in an economic recession, but we're also kind of in a friendship recession where everybody's got like kids or work or a wife or whatever. And it's kind of hard to get people to meet up. So having a shared passion is really cool because it makes it so it's just like you're going to go and you're going to have an interesting experience. And then the bonus part is people who share a passion that you have, and then you talk about them like cheering you on. I love that because I think
yeah.
sometimes we feel like everyone we're in competition with each other,
And you
versus
kinda
like,
are if you don't
no,
paddle out with friends. If
you know.
if you're not at your home break and you don't know a bunch of people out there already, that's the other part of the community too, is, like, when you surf the same wave almost every day, you meet the people there and you form friendships with them. And lifeguarding too, like you're out there, everyone's wants to check in and talk with you, and you learn about your community. But if you're just kind of paddling out in a new spot, surfing can be a pretty unwelcoming place, especially depending on the spot. There's a lot of like localism, and people try to protect their spots from people coming in from elsewhere or beginners. And I know I've never had that mentality, but it's something I can understand. And there's like a long history of it in surfing. So yeah, community is definitely a big part of it. There's like a little surf competition, a longboard competition that's been happening in Encinitas for many years. Like the Stone Steps Invitational Longboard Competition, and it goes all the way back to the late '60s. And there's like really cool old photos of just hippied out surfers like drinking beers and holding longboards and watching bands play on the beach. And like there's people who keep this event alive today still. It's a lot less of a wild event, but that's all about neighborhood and community and surfing. So I love
Yeah.
that of it.
Yeah, I love the stoke and like sharing joy with each other because at like work you're not gonna be like super stoked just you're not gonna be like, oh my God, that was so sick. I can't believe you just did that. Even though that would make it nice if someone come watch your class and be like, man, that was incredible. You nailed it. A lot of the things we do are kind of invisible, so it's kind of cool to surf with other people and have people share in your happiness if you have a cool experience out there, or a really good send if you're climbing. But I do understand too, there is this sense with climbing too, as the sport becomes more popular, where a lot of people are like, who are all these people? They're making it crowded. They're messing up like the spot that used to be our little hidden secret crag. And so there's kind of those tensions between wanting to be really welcoming, which is mostly what I've experienced, but also people being kind of territorial and being like, dude, this is my thing. And I don't want it to get kind of like so crowded that it's hard to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So surfing is kind of a time intensive hobby. How do you find time to do it? How do you balance it with all the things you do? Your wife owns a business. You're a
Yes.
teacher. You have a life. So how do you make it work?
Um. Well, I definitely don't surf as much as I would like to right now,
Yeah, honestly.
unfortunately. But yeah, like lifeguarding is part of that. Like anytime I'm scheduled for a shift, I know I'm going to get to surf, unless the conditions are really bad that day. But then also, like, I just have to plan better now, like as an adult with real responsibilities. And that kind of comes back to the friendship community aspect, is like, I have to hit up my buddy, maybe a couple days in advance, and we'll check the weather patterns. We'll be like, all right, you got time on Saturday, you got time on Sunday, all right, let's do it. But it also helps. I'm really blessed to live close to the beach, and so every now and again, I can get home after work, and if it looks fun, I can go run out there if I don't have any immediate pressing responsibilities. That's one of the things I love about living in San Diego.
Yeah, yeah. I grew up in Colorado, so it was awesome to come back to the mountains, but my husband grew up in the panhandle of Texas, and he grew up camping and vacationing here. And he was like, "Dude, I wanna live at the place where I used to vacation, where there's mountains,"
Yeah,
Like, where you live
exactly.
and the environment around you, like, makes a big difference to your quality of life.
Hmm.
And being that close to the ocean is really, really cool. I have so much respect for what you do. Like one of my favorite books is called Why We Swim about open water swimming. I read that book. I asked my friend Brita because I could barely swim. I never took swim lessons. I was like, teach me how to swim. So she would take me to her pool. It was like outdoor heated pool in the winter. And I would like watch her underwater with goggles like a little kid and then like try to do what she was doing. And a lot of times I would be like gasping and then I would come just laughing at myself, like, why is this so hard? Because it's actually not natural to us in some ways, right? Like we're land animals. So I
Yeah,
think it's so cool, like go against, like you're evolved perfectly to succeed on the land. And here you are going into this world that in a way, like you don't belong out there, like fish belong out there, whales belong out there, like not
right.
humans. And so I kind of wanted to like talk a little bit about the ocean because I think it's kind of an honor to be out there. I could imagine like just on a board, not a boat or anything. As a person who doesn't it's not your natural element, like it's kind of going into this other world. I think that's part of what intrigued me about what you do, swimming in the ocean every day.
Yeah, and, like, that's part of like, getting into lifeguarding, you kind of I get it's not everyone's goal, but, for me, it kinda was, and for, like, a lot of people, it's to, like, really become a waterman, to be an all-around waterman, not just surfing, but also lifeguarding, but, swimming itself, diving, being able to, like, boating, being able to be competent in all areas of kind of marine activity, is kind of like the ultimate, if you're a surfer or a lifeguard, so, I do love to dive and just kinda, like, get down and see what's down there. Like, me and my wife, when we go travel in the summertime, sometimes to Europe, there's not waves. So I bring my fins and my snorkel and my mask with me, and I'm just exploring, getting to see other marine life that you wouldn't see otherwise. And, like divers that do that really seriously, they're like, "What? You went diving in, like, Italy? There's, like, nothing to see there." I'm like, "Yeah, there is. There's, like, all kinds of fish that I don't see in my backyard." So,
Yeah. I
scuba,
think I really go ahead.
body surfing, the list goes on.
Yeah. I really love that element of, it's kind of Alice in Wonderland, like, through the looking glass, you go into this different world, and you're a guest there,
Yes.
and it's almost like I almost feel this, like, honor like, with the mountains, for example, I did an alpine climb, and I felt like, I don't really belong here, like, the only thing that lives up here is, like, birds, and they can fly. Like, I probably shouldn't be up here because I cannot fly. But at the same time, I almost wanted to, like, give an offering to the mountain or say a prayer or something to be like, "Allow me to enter into this world that is not really built for me." But I'm very honored in a way, almost like at a spiritual level to get to kind of enter into it temporarily and experience it. And I kind of feel like that with the ocean because it's like it could kill you, but it could also show you the most amazing fish that are shaped like pencils or, something that's just
Mhm.
going to blow your mind. But you kind of have to have respect for it because it's a powerful thing.
Yes, 100%. I mean, that's a great way of looking at it. It is a different world, and yeah, like you said, like it can be like going through the looking glass when you dive down with goggles, and like I just want to stay down there and see all the fish, and
Yeah,
like
totally.
yeah, I think it's helpful to have that kind of gratitude. I think it's important. Because not everybody gets to experience that all the time. Not everybody lives that close to a body of water that's clean that they can swim in. Um, yeah, and probably not everybody lives near mountains they can climb for you, right?
Yeah, yeah, and for me, blue spaces right now are rafting and paddleboarding, and I like being on the river, in Colorado, but yeah, I do think you have to have that kind of reverence. I think a lot of times there's this kinda like, um, I don't know, white guy plants a flag vibe with, I'm just such a badass and I'm gonna come out here and just crush this, and I don't really like that. I think it's
Yeah,
better to have a little bit of reverence because, you are a guest kind of in this world, and it's like it's like, "Thank you, river, for, like, letting me raft you." Like, I don't know, maybe like my Catholic upbringing, I don't know, but I feel like, you have to have a little bit of humility out there because I definitely have had times climbing where I thought like, "Okay, this is really dangerous and I need to lock in," but I also need to kind of have a reverence for this environment and just proceed with caution and respect because you can't go in there just thinking like I'm the biggest badass because like anybody can fall. Anybody
yes,
could, I don't know, riptides, whatever you experience with surfing could happen to anybody. So there's this alertness and respect for the environment that you're in, which I think can translate into other parts of your life, that kind of gratitude for like, man, look at this sunrise or whatever. Like
yeah,
appreciate it, don't miss it because you kind of get used to paying that close attention, whether it's reading the weather or the waves or something else.
yeah, yeah. I'm not a big fan of the just vibing people out because you're better at the sport. There's limited rock faces out there. There's limited waves in one given coastline. And I definitely, I'm of the mindset that we all got to share it and get along. And I think having that gratitude definitely helps you cultivate that kind of a community around you, wherever you are. Um, I think that people that really try to just be aggro in the sport all the time, like, are they even having fun? I don't know.
Yeah.
Does it usually look like it?
Yeah, I used to say always like the best climber is the one having the most fun because even if you don't climb like a super high grade, like if that guy's mad and he's yelling and he's like stressed out, it's like that's not my goal is not to be that guy. I want to be like you talked about earlier, the irony, right, is that you're in this really stressful situation where you're under the water and you have to hold your breath, you could drown, but you have to be calm, right? So trying to have that calmness, also, so it's really deep because you're doing this very physical thing, but it's also kind of the social, emotional, mental piece of like trying to be calm in a stressful situation that definitely has got to translate to other areas of your life.
Yeah, and ultimately, like, we're chasing the same thing, right? This is not competitive sport. Like,
Mm.
one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received in my life is from my dad. Like, he always in Little League, he would always say, "If you had fun, you won." Like, it's simple as that. Like, score doesn't matter, right? Did you have fun? That's We're all chasing fun with these activities. And there is no score in surfing. Like, you're trying to catch the wave and do some cool stuff on it and look cool with a surfboard underneath you. Rock climbing, you're trying to get to the top of the mountain, right?
Right.
But it's the whole ritual beforehand. It's all the excitement and joy uh when you lock in and you're doing what you want your body to do with nature there. And ultimately, you got to be enjoying it. That's If you had fun, you won.
I love it. Your dad, you gotta have to send him this podcast. I love it.
I will.
And it's process too of like how you got up the mountain. Did you get up the mountain where you were supportive to your other climbers, where you're a good hang? Like I always joke that I bring the vibes. It's the way you do it. I think it translates too to like I have 3 kids and they'll be upset about their grades. There's so much testing in schools now and stuff. And my son comes up and he's like, I'm really scared because I didn't get an A on this assignment. And I'm like, dude, I don't care about that. I care like, did you learn? Did you do your best? Did you try hard? Like, are you
Mhm.
growing? Because you can always do better. Like, you can always be a better surfer, better climber, right? Make more money, whatever is important to you. You can always have more of it. But if you're not like feeling happy about the process and like what you're growing and learning from, and for me, like when I started out climbing, I was super scared on like a 5, 6. So I'm really happy with what I'm doing right now because I know where I started, and so I can feel myself growing. But if someone else is climbing, I'm climbing like a 5'10", 5'11" now. If someone else is climbing 5'12", like good for them. Like, but I know where I started, and I'm just happy to feel that growth and like stoke and joy. That's kind of what I'm getting out of it more than like trying to go pro and get sponsored by Zen or Red Bull or something. Although I would take that. I would totally take that. If that happens, that's great.
Beautiful,
Call me. Call
beautiful.
me.
You get
Um,
sponsored by Sin, like the pouches.
yeah, why not? Like, I would take their money for sure. Like, call me
Okay.
Zen. Um, a lot of nicotine in the climbing community.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Unexpected,
yeah,
but I could see that.
you would think that they would be like really healthy, but it's all Red Bull and like caffeine and nicotine. So
Hmm.
I'm always like, you guys got to drink water. Um, Hey, so I have one last question because a lot of people who listen to Inner Immigrant care about what's going on in the world and trying to make the
Mm.
world a little bit kinder. Do you feel like surfing has made you care more about like political stuff in your community or ecology or social things as well? Or is it just like an escape from all that? That's okay too.
Yeah, I think for me, it's more of an escape.
Yeah.
I really, I try to stay offline. I mean, like, I get sucked in. I want to see people shredding gnarly waves, and then I'll always inevitably click on the comments and stuff. And like, the surf industry and surf world has gotten pretty, shall we say, Trumpy over the last few years. So I don't know. I try to stay away from all of that. But there are a lot of like great people in the surfing world and community that are environmentalists that I really respect. But yeah, for me, it's kind of just to get away from all that. Like, I don't need to like talk with somebody about their political persuasion if they're out there in the water smiling at me saying hi. Like, none of that matters.
Yeah. I actually love that. I love that, like, you have friends where you would never otherwise be friends, and you just have this shared love, and then you can just see people's humanity. It's not about how they vote or what they believe in. But I do think what you said about, like, if you're in your local beach, you're gonna care about that beach being clean and cared for in a
Yeah.
different way. So that kinda local stuff, I think, has definitely changed me. Like, if you're out in nature and then they're gonna try to sell your crag, you're like, "Hell no, dude." Like, I love that place. Like, that's my it's, like, personal then, you know?
Yeah. It
Have
gets
you
pretty it can get pretty complicated with the coastal stuff though, because the waters are rising and like should we keep pumping sand on the beach? Like like the local community kind of thrives on tourism, and there's all kinds of like very difficult questions surrounding uh our beaches, our maintenance of them as humans and our stewardship. And should we be doing like different artificial things to keep sea level rise at bay? I don't pretend to know the answers to any of these things, but I try to pay attention as much as I can to where it affects my local community. And, you know, uh, anything that will help the waves, I'm for.
Yeah, right, right, right. I mean, I don't think anyone has the answers, but I really appreciate you sharing that because people who live on the coast are feeling climate change in a different way than those of us who live in the middle of the country. All right, anything else you wanna say? Is there, like, a favorite surf movie, surf book, like, something else you wanna leave us with that we
Oh,
didn't get to?
recommendation? Oh man, I'm bad at
Yeah,
last second recommendations. I wish I'd thought of this.
that's alright.
Give me a second here. One of the most classic hippied out surf movies of all time is Morning of the Earth. I think it really kind of speaks to the freewheeling surfer wanderer ethos better than like any movie I've ever seen, and it's really beautifully shot. It's from the '70s. I think the director is Albert Falzon. So definitely check out Morning of the Earth. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it because it was like a New York Times bestseller, but Barbarian Days is
Mhm.
really, really amazing book about one man's life with surfing, and yeah, very highly recommended both of those things. But yeah,
Awesome,
like
awesome. Well,
any of the Jack Johnson movies he's filmed are all great. Think
is he the
think
bubbly toes guy, the musician?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I got to see him play at a local cafe out here. Actually,
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
pretty wild to be out here, and like kind of all my surf heroes. They might be out there in the water, on any given
That's really
day.
cool. So some of those people you were watching in videos you've got to meet.
Hmm. Definitely.
That's really cool. That's really cool. It's really cool to meet people that you admire who've lived their life on their own terms and done something that really makes them feel alive, and that's really
Yeah.
cool, and I love the way that music is wedded with surf culture too. You guys have the Beach Boys, I mean I mean, it's just a really cool scene, and I'm so happy that you're a part of it. And I hope if you're ever in Colorado, you come visit me. And I just appreciate your time and sharing your story.
No.
If people
Yeah.
wanted to try surfing, maybe take a lesson, you guys, because it's a pretty cool thing. Or even just like Michael said earlier in the interview, like put on some goggles and just go look around in the ocean because it's a pretty cool thing to get to see a different world, a totally different element, you know? You're floating for Christ's sakes. It's pretty rad.
Yeah. Get lessons anywhere there's a coastline. You can get lessons now. Pretty much, I would recommend getting lessons. They'll get you upstanding usually on your first day, but it's a long climb after that. And yeah, I mean, I'm just really grateful to be able to chat it up with you, Anna. One of my favorite topics, surfing. It's been a lot of
Super,
fun.
super fun. Thank you so much, Michael. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye bye.